So you want to become a parent? Well, there's a lot you need to learn, but a lot of it you're going to have to work out on your own. Here's the top 10 things that they neglected to tell us before Theo got here. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam, this is Enduring Daddy, where we talk about all things endurance, sport, tech reviews and being a new dad. And today we're going to be looking at 10 things that we were not told before Theo arrived. Now this isn't a self-help guide for dads, this is a general informative overview of stuff that you don't get told before becoming a parent in general, and a lot of this is opinionated. This is stuff that we've experienced, and obviously every small human is different, so you will likely experience very different things if you've not embarked on this journey already. But let's get into it. I'm not sure I've seen you here before. If you're new, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button at the end of the video if you do like the content, and if you do like the content and you want to see more of it, hit that bell icon so that you are notified every time we upload another video. Now Theo's 4.5 months old, and it's been an absolute roller coaster for us working out the intricacies involved in having a tiny human at home. Today we're going to be looking at some of the nuances involved in looking after said tiny humans, some of the bits that they don't tell you before you become a parent or guardian or carer of said tiny humans. And although every tiny person is different, I've run this past numerous people to ensure that the nuances that we cover off today are relatively consistent from small human to small human, and hopefully things that you can relate to yourselves if you're going through or about to embark on this journey. Number 1. Getting pregnant. Now the reality is that getting pregnant isn't quite as straightforward as they may lead you to believe in your sex education classes at school, and numerous couples, actually I would say a majority of couples, certainly in my age bracket, don't have a straightforward it just happens pregnancy, and in a number of instances have to actually seek help to get pregnant. And although this is a bit of a taboo subject, it's apparent that it needs to be talked about more because people don't communicate. People do not talk about unfortunate circumstances or loss or real difficulties and the angst and anguish that that can cause going through that process. So talk to people. Absolutely converse with other couples you know who have had kids, who are trying to have kids, because the likelihood is people have been through the same experiences and they might not want to go into the intricate details of those experiences, but understanding and being empathetic towards situations is massively helpful when you're going through this process. Number 2, volume of stuff. Now, stuff is a fairly generalized and broad term in terms of the volume of products that you do and do not need, but you will buy anyway. And it is vast, the volume of stuff that you buy before baby arrives in terms of clothing. Certainly we bought shed loads of newborn clothing and first size clothing, when in reality Theo came out a little big for those items of clothing, and subsequently they went straight into vacuum pack bags and have never been worn. The number of toys and teething toys and dummies and the trial and error that you have to go through with almost all of these products to get something that works. I made a video not so long ago about the products that you need to help baby sleep, and actually I could probably redo that with another whole raft of products that we've bought to ensure that actually those that didn't work were replaced by ones that might. And it is staggering quite how much you will buy that you will not use and throw away. So buy sparingly in the first instance, and unfortunately accept that you're going to have to spend a lot of money on product that actually may end up being a complete waste of money. What I'd also say is if you've got people in your family that are looking to buy products for you, specifically clothing, I'd ask them to buy clothing that is a bit bigger, 3 to 6 month clothes rather than newborn or first size clothes, because in reality the likelihood is that that baby is either going to not wear those clothes at all or wear them once and then be too big for them to wear them again. Number 3. Since Theo was born, he's been incredibly good at sucking up time. And I'm not talking about him being needy, I'm talking about him just being a baby and me just staring at him like some sort of weirdo for hours and hours on end. Now, it's not relentlessly staring at him like a weirdo for hours consistently, but they take up so much time. You find yourself just playing with them for serious periods of time, and suddenly you look at the clock and half the day's gone. And in reality, you need to do more of it, as much of it as you possibly can, because time flies by really, really fast, and before you know it, they're 4 months old, they're already on their front, holding their head up and giggling at you all the time. Number 4. Brick dust. It sounds very, very peculiar when you just say it out of the blue, but changing babies' nappies when they're newborn can sometimes result in a very, very suspect looking orangey rusty coloured powder being present in their nappy. By all accounts, this is a normal phenomenon. It's actually urite crystals that build up while baby is in mummy's womb and subsequently get released in the early days of them being a real human boy or girl, and as a result leaves rusty coloured stains on the inside of their nappy. Now, it was very peculiar. It was, oh my God, get to hospital, what's going on? But after a little bit of research, speaking to a couple of people, by all accounts, it is a normal phenomenon. I am not a medical expert, so if you are concerned, please do seek medical advice. But by all accounts, nothing to worry about. Number 5, red eyebrows. Who knew that your baby was also a chameleon? And I'm not just talking about eyebrows. I'm talking about eyebrows, their face, their entire body. In certain situations, your baby has the ability to instantaneously change the colour of parts of their body. If they are upset, if they are tired, if they are hungry, they can make their eyebrows glow bright red. And I don't believe it's something that they can control. However, it's a great indicator that something might need to be done. Also, if you're in the unlucky position to have to take your baby for jabs, the moment that needle enters that baby's leg, which is a pretty horrible experience, I'd like to add, that baby's face will go bright red. Darth Maul suddenly appears all over your baby's face and the screaming begins. Now, it's amazing how quickly this can happen, but the eyebrows is a great indicator of something being needed or something needing to be done. So watch out for the eyebrows. Number 6, Jekyll and Hyde. It is staggering quite how quickly a baby can flip from happy, bubbly, laughing on the floor to absolutely hysterically screaming for no apparent reason whatsoever. You can, on occasions, be cuddling the baby, laughing, joking, bouncing the baby up and down, put them down, and they flip. Like they have split personality disorder. From one moment, one emotion, to another moment, something completely the opposite. The reality is, usually, it's for no reason whatsoever. They don't understand why they're upset half the time, as far as I'm aware. Now, I'm not an infant psychologist. I can't give you the definitive workings of a baby's brain. However, it seems a little irrational the majority of the time. Number 7, do this, do that. How much advice, guidance and recommendations you get from people that it's completely unwanted and completely unwarranted in a number of instances. People feel like they need to impose their views, their experiences, their way back in time when they went through it, experiences that actually bear no relevance today. I often compare it to driving. I can drive a car, but passing a driving test is very, very different. And that's because the science changes, the regulations change, the policies change. And it's very similar when it comes to children. What was common practice and scientifically advised once is no longer. And subsequently, when people give you advice and you go, that's not what we've been told by medical professionals, or that's not what the guidance is from institutions like the Lullaby Trust as an example, then it becomes quite awkward because you're in essence telling someone that's very experienced in this role that how they did it was wrong. And the reality is, in today's world, it probably was. Now, humans have survived for thousands of years doing what they did then, get to today, and before that, but the science changes in terms of the best way of doing things. What's difficult in some instances is that actually the advice from medical professionals contradicts that of other medical professionals. So you may be told one thing in hospital by a midwife that actually a health visitor or a doctor or another midwife contradicts further down the line. So great, thank you very much for all this contradicting information. I will now go and try and digest all of this conflicting advice and make my own way through this unknown journey. Being a new mummy and daddy, unfortunately, is a learn as you go type of job. No one piece of information will guide you in the way that you need to go. You have to make up your own way through and just do it as best you can as you go along. The best advice I can give you is if you have friends or family that have done this recently, they've taken this mumbo jumbo advice from health professionals and various other people and implemented it successfully, then they're going to be your best point of resource. Also, if you're not part of an NCT group or a mummies group or whatever that might be, I'd absolutely recommend that. They've been a great resource in terms of bouncing information, ideas back and forth. We're lucky enough to have the youngest baby in the group, so when we're going through the moments, they've always got words of wisdom and advice to comfort us and put our minds at ease. Number 8, getting out the house. Now, unfortunately, getting out the house is a bit of a military art. It requires packing all of your kit. And when we're talking about kit, we're talking about changing bag. We're talking about changing bag for the pram specifically. We're talking about the pram in multiple formats usually. We're talking about blankets, muslins. We're talking about toys, teething toys, dummies. We're talking about changes of clothes for the baby. We're talking about changes of clothes for you. And we're talking about that in large volumes. Now, the reason for this is that not a day goes by where I don't end up with vomit down my shirt, and babies are incredibly good at stealthily pooing through their baby grows onto both themselves and your clothing. So you need to ensure that you not only have multiple changes of clothes for the baby, but also multiple changes of clothes for you, because if you end up with poo on your jeans or vomit down your shirt on the way to some sort of family event or meeting friends or whatever that might be, the reality is you're going to end up in the shop buying a replacement where you could have just packed an additional in your bag. One of the guys that I asked for a bit of feedback before recording this video suggested that if you pack for 5 days, you might just get away with 1. Number 9, the volume of stuff you will just get through day to day. Now, when I'm talking about the volume of stuff you will get through day to day, I'm talking about nappies, I'm talking about wet wipes, I'm talking about Milton wipes, I'm talking about muslins, I'm talking about baby clothes. In essence, I'm talking about cleaning and washing. Now, absolute kudos to those that go down the route of reusable nappies. I don't understand how they do that. It's absolutely staggering the number of nappies you get through, certainly in the early days. Now, obviously, Theo being a little older, we can go through the night without changing his nappies in some instances, but that does require multiple different types of nappies. Now, nappies themselves are a minefield. When you start investigating which nappies are best fit for your baby, you will have about 1,000 different types to choose from. The reality is, actually, they're much of a muchness, and really you've just got to go through the motions and test the ones from the major supermarkets, the ones from the major brands, the ones from the lesser supermarkets. And actually, commercially, they range massively from sort of 14p a nappy all the way through to multiple pounds a nappy, and it's just about finding what's best fit for both your wants, your needs and your budget, of course. Then you come on to Milton wipes, wet wipes, and they're staggering. The number of those you get through is unbelievable. With a good solid poo filled nappy, we could go through 4 or 5 wet wipes. And Milton wipes wise, well, unfortunately that poo doesn't always just stay on both the nappy and the wet wipes. Subsequently, changing tables need wiping down. Sometimes we need wiping down. So you end up going through a number of those as well. And then you come on to muslins. Now, when we started shopping for baby, I was a little bit, why are we buying so many of these random cloths? But actually, in reality, you cannot have enough. They need to be in every single room, on hand, all the time, as well as wet wipes, to be completely honest. The number of times it gets shouted across our house, grab me a wet wipe, grab me a muslin, is absolutely staggering. So ensuring that you have enough of each is more important than anything else, and you will wash them continuously. So be prepared for your washing machine to be on multiple times a day rather than a few times a week. Number 10, sickness. Now, I'm alright at the moment, but recently I've been suffering. And I have always taken it upon myself to critique those who are constantly ill as a result of having small children. And my understanding was, well, hang on, how can you be sick all the time? Surely what they're catching from you. And I pride myself on the fact that I haven't been to the doctors in years and I very rarely get sick. But since having Theo, it's dawned on me that in essence, babies are like freshers at university. They're mixing with other babies at classes and at nurseries and at family events that have also been mixing with other babies at other family events, and the reality is that they're all just one big mixing pot of sickness. And we've been struggling with sickness in our house a number of times in the last 4 months, and unfortunately it is a result of Theo going out, picking up bugs, bringing them home and sharing them lovingly with mummy and daddy. So be prepared to deal with family illness, and unfortunately it's one and then the other and then the other, and the reality is that usually I'm the last one. So by the time I've been giving Theo and his mum grief for being poorly and sniffly and full of goo and awfulness, I come down with it as well. So enjoy all the sickness. It comes in droves and no one is immune. Bit of a different video today. I thought I'd just give you some of the learnings that we've had in the past 4 months. And it's not just for dads, this is for parents in general going through the motions. These are genuinely things that we were not told. Now obviously some of them are relative common sense. You know that babies tend to make people sick. You know that babies get red eyebrows if they're hungry, tired or angry. And in some instances, you would have been told all of these things by friends and family. But these are some of the things that we weren't informed of. You sort of make it up as you go along. What I would advise, if you're not part of an NCT group, absolutely become part of one, because it's a great opportunity to share experiences and ask for guidance and support from people that are going through the same thing as you. And there's so much to look forward to with having a new tiny person in your house, and there is so much that is also worrying and concerning, but it's normal and you've got to sort of make it up as you go along. But talking to people and getting guidance from those that have been through the motions already is the number one thing you can do. But at the same time, some of that guidance needs to be taken with a big bucket of salt, or contrasted to the current guidance from medical professionals, and you will get conflicting advice from everybody and anybody, and it's just about wading through that information to try and work out what works best for you and your family. So as always, if you like this content, please do hit that like button. If you're not yet a subscriber of the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. And for those of you that are interested, I made a video not so long ago about the core products that we use to try and help Theo sleep, and I will link that video up here. I'll also link down here the sort of opening gambit for the channel and what the channel is all about, so that you can understand where it all started. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.